We have all heard about the 5 stages of grief, right? And they sound so nice and neat and tidy. But grief is anything but neat and tidy. When I lost my 10-year-old daughter, Libby, in a car accident, my world was tossed completely upside down and inside out. And I was in a world that absolutely would not fit into nice little boxes. So if you've ever felt like your grief doesn't match up or that you're not on the right path, you are absolutely not alone. So grab a cup of coffee and let's have a chat about the things they don't tell you about grief until you're in it. The first thing that I was not prepared for in my grief journey were those waves of emotions. Everyone has probably heard about the grief waves and how grief comes in waves, but oh my gosh, I did not understand it until I experienced it. Grief waves are these emotions that hit you out of nowhere. And it can be both good emotions and bad emotions, but you just have no idea that they are coming. One minute you are fine, and then another minute you're crying or feeling like you want to buckle down and hit the floor.
Great. Yeah, I have so many feelings.
And it can be the weirdest things that make you feel this way. Common ones, it can be a song on the radio. The grocery store is the worst for me with this. I feel like every time I go to the grocery store, some sort of song plays that reminds me of Libby. It can be a whiff of a familiar scent. It can be seeing someone that looks like the person that you lost. Again, it can be super weird things too that you wouldn't expect to connect to the person that you lost. Your emotions do not stick to a schedule, and they don't care if you're in the middle of the grocery aisle or in a room full of crowded people. They will just hit you at the most unexpected times. The second thing I was not prepared for is the physical toll of grief. I expected that grief would affect me mentally and emotionally, but I was totally unprepared for the physical aspects of grieving as well. The main things I experienced were exhaustion, headaches, body aches. I remember feeling like I was knocked down by the flu, and it was not the flu. It was just my grief manifesting in my body. The tiredness, I mean, even when you're further out in the process, God, I just feel so tired sometimes, and I know that that's because of my grief. Your body is processing a lot when it's grieving, so take care of yourself. The next thing I was unprepared for is the guilt and the what ifs. Honestly, with my daughter, I was a great mom, and I'm okay saying that. I know that she loved me and I adored her, and we had an amazing relationship. But somehow your mind still comes up with any situation where you could say, what if I did this? Or what if I hadn't done that?
What if?
It is a doozy, and it can haunt you. I kept replaying the circumstances of the accident in my mind, even though really the accident had nothing to do with me. There's nothing I could have done differently. But your brain doesn't really care, right? It will just pop in with things for you to feel guilty about. And the biggest thing that I like to tell people is with guilt and what ifs, the only person you are hurting is yourself. So that's what you really need to recognize to help yourself with these two things, because man, they can really knock you down and keep you mired in feelings of misery for a long time. The next thing I wasn't ready for is the push for you to move on with your grief. And I was not expecting this one at all, and was kind of blindsided by the amount of people who make comments about how you should be getting on with your life. Or for me, it's like not talking about my daughter, like it's wrong to talk about her. I realized just how uncomfortable so many people in society are with talking about grief and loss and death. It makes other people uncomfortable, and therefore they want you to shut up and they want you to pretend like everything is okay.
Shut up already.
And it's really unfortunate and really unhealthy. So don't let anyone tell you how you should grieve or any sort of timeline that you should be on, because your process is your own. The next thing is the importance of remembering. For me, talking about my daughter and sharing memories of her was and continues to be a crucial part of my healing journey. Not only does it keep her memory alive, which makes me feel good, like she's not being forgotten, but it helps me as well. So don't be afraid to talk about your loved one, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. It is okay to remember them and to cry and to laugh and to share those memories. The next one kind of goes along with the physical toll, but this one's in your brain, and that is the memory fog or the grief fog. It is real, y'all. Simple tasks like remembering appointments, remembering times for things. Like, I was always bad at that, I'm going to be honest, but it got infinitely worse. Even things like remembering what I had for breakfast became a challenge. It's because grief takes up so much of our mental space. It can leave you feeling really scattered and forgetful, but it is a normal part of the process, even though it's frustrating. The next thing I wasn't prepared for is the change in relationships. I have had some doozies with this, relationships that ended for different reasons and relationships that were built up for different reasons.
The best store in the world hit you in the ass on your way out.
Some friends and family might not know how to support you or might not feel comfortable or know what to say, and so they pull away from that relationship. On the flip side, you might find unexpected support and care from people that you weren't expecting. This next one might sound a little bit strange, but it is the joy that mixes in with the pain. I don't think enough people talk about this, but there can be little moments of happiness and joy that sneak in your grief journey. And those moments of happiness and laughter can feel jarring, almost like you are doing something wrong.
Does that make me a terrible person?
These moments are really important, and they are a reminder that you can still find a bit of joy and happiness even in your darkness. So if you do find yourself smiling or laughing, please don't feel guilty about it. You are allowed to have those moments of joy. They can do more to lift your hope for the future than anything else. The next thing I wasn't really expecting in grief was kind of the fundamental change in how I felt about life or the meaning of life. And again, I was not a religious person. I'm still not a religious or spiritual person. So this is going to be different for a lot of people than it is for me. But for me, a lot of people, from talking to people and reading about grief, do experience those significant kind of spiritual and religious shifts where they start questioning things. I didn't have to go through that because I wasn't that way originally. But some of my fundamental feelings about life definitely shifted. So as an example, for me, I am not really afraid of much of anything anymore. For me, it's kind of like I figured the worst has happened, so nothing much makes me afraid anymore. It also opened up my eyes to all of the pain and suffering that there is in the world, and that it's not just me, and so many other people are going through shit that we don't know about. So I just try to keep that in mind and be kind to everyone that I can, because we never know what anyone else is going through. And the last thing that I didn't know about grief is just how different everyone's journey can be. We think about the 5 stages of grief and we think that that's what people go through in a straight line until it happens to us. And we realize how differently everyone reacts to their experiences. What works for one person might not work for another, won't work for another. I found solace in writing and sharing my journey and helping other people with this YouTube channel and with my book. For you, it's going to be something different, maybe painting or gardening or starting a charity. There are a million different ways that people react to their grief, and they are all great. So my friends, if your grief does not fit into the nice little timeline of the 5 stages of grief, that is okay. Grief is messy and unpredictable and uniquely yours. So be kind to yourself. Take it one day at a time. Let me know in the comments and let everyone in our community know if there are things that you weren't expecting or that you didn't know about grief. Or if any of these things that I shared resonated with you, we would love to hear it in the comments. Till next time, sending love and hugs as always.